Welcome to the Daily Breaking News YouTube channel. After Finland and Sweden formally applied to join NATO, tensions in Northern Europe reached an all-time high. Putin's actions, which began the invasion effort against Ukraine on the basis of NATO membership, piqued everyone's interest. The globe, as well as Sweden and Finland, which elected to join NATO in response to the growing Russian threat after the Russian army attacked Ukraine, are well equipped to deal with the Russian army. NATO nations, as well as Denmark and Norway, are on high alert for potential Russian assaults. The most significant recent occurrence occurred in the Baltic area, where tensions are high. NATO aircraft intervened against two Russian airplanes suspected of attempting to cross the Norwegian air boundary around Finland. Two Royal Norwegian Air Force F-35 fighter planes stopped two Russian warplanes near the Finnish border in today's lightning development. This was Russia's first aggressive move toward the Baltic state. Su-24 Ganser, deploying MiG-31 and Foxhounds, were pushed near the Norwegian-Finnish border. Two F-35 fighter jets protected the Kremlin's aircraft off the coast of Finland. These planes were then caught by two NATO fighter jets, Foxhound and Yenter, which fled east after being intercepted by NATO fighters. The Royal Norwegian Air Force tweeted that the F-35 had identified two Russian jets north of Finland today, and that the F-35s had taken off shortly after the Control and Reporting Center reported the warplanes at Finnmark. According to reports, Russian jets went into the Norwegian Sea before heading east, although Norwegian and NATO F-35s were always on alert for such provocations. At the same time, Norwegian Air Force spokesperson Stein Brackley indicated that if Russian planes breach Norwegian airspace, the Norwegian Air Force may take more aggressive action, and that the Kremlin has full responsibility for the situation. When questioned if the action posed a threat to Norway, he replied that he didn't want to say anything since they're used to it, and it's not prohibited. As part of NATO's fast reaction warning, we continuously monitor all activity in our region. The Royal Norwegian Air Force has two F-35 Court fighter planes on standby at all times, particularly near the Russian border. Sweden and Finland's attempts to invade Ukraine have demonstrated how vulnerable Sweden and Finland, which have had joint meetings with NATO and have had strong connections in recent years, are due to their low military budget. It had cutting-edge but restricted combat vehicles. Sauli Niinisto, Finland's president, has stated that her nation will join a military alliance in a historic policy shift brought about by the occupation. According to Kremlin assertions, Finland and Russia share a 1,200-kilometer border. It was suggested that joining NATO would be a mistake and would badly harm the bilateral relations of the two nations. Soon after these developments, Sweden has also begun the formal application procedure for membership. In both nations, popular support for NATO membership is rising. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Finnish President Nikita Niinisto spoke over the phone. The Finnish president discussed the country's aspirations to join the alliance. Putin, on the other hand, warned that such a move would have irrevocable consequences for the Russia-Finnish relationships. However, remarks in recent days have indicated that Putin has backed down in this respect. When the two nations' official NATO applications were originally published, Putin warned that the move may destabilize the North, but this week, Putin stated that NATO enlargement presents no threat to Russia in the North. He also maintained that Russia has no issues with Finland or Sweden. We need to discuss why. Although Russia is losing strength in the region, Ukraine's losses are mounting by the day. With the defeat of Russian armies' special forces in the Spetsnaz ground operations, the Russian Navy's flagship in the Black Sea Fleet, the cruiser Moskva, was sunk. The Russian army was severely demoralized after losing thousands of tanks and hundreds of planes, and the force's capabilities too were debated. As a result of this procedure, several high-ranking troops were slain or demoted. Putin began to face harsher criticism as word spread. Unrest is spreading in the military and at the highest levels of administration, according to reports. In this state of anarchy, Putin's opening of a new front might spell the end of him, particularly in the conflict against Ukraine. Russia recognized that Ukraine's chances of joining NATO were slim and was convinced that Western nations would not come to the region's aid, but this was not the case in Finland and Sweden. During these events, he summoned a new council near the Russian border in the Baltic to criticize the German leadership and the Russian invasion. In a statement issued following the conference, the Council of Baltic Sea Nations said, "I would like to personally thank Annalena and Germany, who resumed leadership in Europe after the war, particularly in Northern Europe. We see a turning point in Germany's posture in Norway, which we completely appreciate." He alluded to Berlin's significant military commitment. In reaction to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Germany's foreign minister, Annalena Baerbock, landed in Kristiansand, Norway, to join the 19th ministerial meeting of the Council of Baltic Sea States, which will focus on the security situation in the Baltic Sea region in the aftermath of Russia's actions in Ukraine. The summit will also focus on green and digital transformation in the Baltic Sea area. The flag will be presented following the summit, which will be held at Kristiansand under the Norwegian presidency. On July 1st, Germany will assume the CBSS presidency for 1 year. This implies that Germany will take up responsibility for the Baltic Sea area at a critical juncture. During his presidency, Germany hopes to promote collaboration among Baltic Sea nations in the energy industry, particularly in offshore wind generation. Interconnection and the spread of renewable energies in the Baltic Sea area have become an even more crucial security policy problem as a result of Russia's conflict against Ukraine. The emphasis is on growing renewable energy and energy infrastructure in the area to make a substantial contribution to the battle against climate change and to reduce Europe's reliance on Russian oil and gas. Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock will meet with her Norwegian colleague Anniken Huitfeldt at Kristiansand in addition to attending the Council of Baltic Sea States ministerial conference. Germany-Norway relations are marked by close collaboration and mutual trust. Germany and Norway share many foreign policy aims and viewpoints, and they work closely together. Above all, Norway is involved in promoting peace and resolving conflicts around the world. Norway and Germany have tight and fruitful relations when it comes to energy. On Wednesday, 2 foreign ministers will visit 2 energy-related firms near Kristiansand to make a meaningful contribution to the European energy transition and European sovereignty. The appropriate control of wind powders is a critical component for farm battery cell manufacture and synthetic graphite production. Due to the escalating mass crises and Russia's danger to the entire globe in energy, 90% of global demands have been imported from China to date. All European countries have already begun to explore other solutions. Due to sanctions, Russia's President, Vladimir Putin, may reduce energy exports at any time. This will generate a serious problem in Europe, and it will be extremely difficult to find an alternative to Russian energy. The major path that Europe now sees as a way out may be to discover and invest in new energy sources, therefore resetting Russia's energy supply. Also on May 28th, Putin resigned when the Russians formally declared the start of the brutal conflict and demanded a quick pullout. Today, Russians are putting pressure on Vladimir Putin to cease the horrific conflict in Ukraine, with one MP asking that the Kremlin leave immediately. Leonid Vasykovich, a communist politician from the far east of Siberia's Khyberkovsky Krai, asked Putin to cease the crisis in Ukraine. People become crippled in his appeal for a big number of people to gather together to demand a stop of the conflict in Ukraine during a military campaign. These are young people who have the potential to benefit our country. He stated that the local deputy minister demanded that Russia leave immediately. There will be more orphans in our nation if we join the military, Mr. Vasykovich went on. I learned that our Russian army had destroyed 50,000 men, but the Putin media always made very little exposure to keep the Russian people's eyes closed. In Ukraine, Russia has endured great tragedy, with far too many families losing loved ones. We strongly urge Mr. Putin to end his spat with a career diplomat sent to Russia's UN mission in Geneva on Wednesday. He stated in a letter that he was embarrassed of his nation and that the invasion was a tragedy. Mr. Vasykovich was the highest-ranking Russian envoy to condemn the Moscow assaults. Putin is right on the verge of the diplomat's storming onslaught and the many Russians he has rallied today.